Comet, asteroid, or something else? A Harvard astrophysicist believes there's a strong likelihood this is a craft of alien origin.
The call went out to top military officials. An emergency meeting was convened, and data from the world's most powerful telescopes was suddenly classified. The reason? A mysterious object from deep space known as 3I Atlas just did something impossible. While most of the world saw it as a simple comet, Harvard's top astronomer, Avi Loeb, saw the truth in the data. The object was glowing from the front, not the back. It had headlights.
It doesn't look like a very common thing, and glow that is around this object, usually for comets, we've never seen such a thing. A comet doesn't have glow in front of it.
Now, Loeb is issuing a chilling warning that this is an alien mothership, and its behavior suggests it is actively deploying smaller probes right now. The man who saw too much. You see, for decades, Avi Loeb was just another brilliant mind in the hallowed halls of Harvard University. As the former chair of the astronomy department, he was the definition of the scientific establishment. He published hundreds of papers, won prestigious awards, and advised presidents. But then, in 2017, everything changed. An object named Oumuamua tumbled through our solar system, and while his colleagues called it a strange comet, Loeb called it alien technology. To put it mildly, the scientific community was not pleased. They labeled him a sensationalist, a heretic who was abandoning rigorous science for cheap headlines. What many overlooked is that Loeb never backed down. Instead, he founded the Galileo Project, a privately funded mission to search for extraterrestrial artifacts near Earth. He argued that the scientific community had become too conservative, too afraid to consider possibilities that didn't fit neatly into their textbooks. He insisted that if we never look for alien technology, we are guaranteed never to find it. Many people are crazy about the idea of finding aliens, but for Loeb, it wasn't a game. It was the most important scientific question of all time. Then, on July 1st, 2025, the Atlas telescope system in Hawaii spotted something new. It was designated 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever detected. And right from the start, it was weird. For one, it was massive. Initial estimates suggested it was over 20 kilometers in diameter, twice the size of the asteroid that ended the age of the dinosaurs. The most shocking fact is that an object this big should only appear in our solar system once every 10,000 years. Yet this was the third interstellar visitor in less than a decade. But then came the trajectory. It was moving at over 130,000 miles per hour, and its path was perfectly aligned with the plane of our solar system's planets. The chances of that happening randomly? 1 in 500. As Loeb himself pointed out, it was moving as if it was intentionally trying to get a good look at our neighborhood. While most astronomers called it a big, weird comet, Loeb reserved judgment. He had seen this movie before with Oumuamua. He knew that when something in space breaks the rules, you don't dismiss it, you look closer. He and his team at the Galileo Project began tracking it, waiting for the data that could prove what he already suspected. This wasn't a rock, it was a messenger. And as the James Webb and Hubble Space Telescopes turned their powerful eyes toward 3I Atlas, they saw something that would make even Loeb's most skeptical colleagues go silent with shock. The data streaming back from the Hubble telescope was about to change everything. A light in the dark. When the first high-resolution images of 3I Atlas came back from the Hubble Space Telescope, the control room was buzzing. Astronomers expected to see the classic signs of a comet, a bright icy nucleus with a long glowing tail of gas and dust trailing behind it. You see, a comet's tail is its signature, created when solar radiation heats the surface, causing ice to turn directly into gas and stream away from the sun. It's a simple, predictable process, but that's not what they saw. In fact, what appeared on the screens was so bizarre, so completely wrong, that many of the initial observers assumed it was an imaging error, a glitch in the multi-million-dollar telescope. There was no tail, at least not in the way there should have been. For an object this massive getting this close to the sun, the outgassing should have been spectacular, creating a tail visible even with amateur equipment. But 3I Atlas was eerily clean. The real shock wasn't what was missing, it was what was there. Instead of a trail of gas behind it, the images showed a faint but distinct glow in front of it. It was like seeing a ship with its headlights on, cutting through the darkness of space. When Avi Loeb saw the data, his reaction was immediate and blunt. In an internal memo that was quickly leaked to the public, he wrote, "The preliminary data is inconsistent with cometary models. The glow is located forward of the nucleus. This isn't a comet at all." The statement sent shockwaves through the scientific community. It sounded absurd, but Loeb wasn't joking. He explained that there is no known natural phenomenon that could cause a comet to emit light from its front. Any outgassing or reflection would be pushed away by the solar wind, always creating a tail that points away from the sun. A forward glow would require an internal energy source. The most shocking fact is, the energy needed to produce such a glow would be immense. To generate a light bright enough for Hubble to see from hundreds of millions of miles away would require a power source equivalent to a small nuclear reactor. For a natural object, this is impossible. For a piece of advanced technology, it would be a trivial feat. The scientific establishment scrambled for an explanation. Could it be a strange chemical reaction? A previously unknown type of ice that sublimates differently? Every natural model they ran failed to account for the forward glow. The data was undeniable, yet it described something that shouldn't exist. Loeb's theory was simple and terrifying. He proposed that 3I Atlas wasn't a comet at all, but a probe or a ship from another civilization. The headlights could be part of a navigation system, a scanning array, or even a shield designed to protect it from interstellar dust as it traveled at incredible speeds. It was a conclusion that most scientists were terrified to even consider, but it was the only one that fit all the facts. The object was too big, too fast, on too perfect a path. If this was a ship, then it wasn't just passing by, it had a destination, a calculated arrival. The idea of an alien ship with headlights was already a massive leap, but Avi Loeb's next warning pushed the theory into even more terrifying territory. He declared, "We should consider the possibility that 3I Atlas is a mothership, releasing smaller probes into our solar system." You see, this wasn't just wild speculation, it was a conclusion based on the object's impossibly perfect trajectory. As Loeb and his team analyzed the orbital data, they realized the object's path was not random at all, it was a grand tour. The thing nobody tells you is just how fine-tuned this path is. 3I Atlas is scheduled to make close passes by Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. The odds of a random object from another star lining up so perfectly to visit 3 of our solar system's most interesting planets is, according to Loeb, 1 in 20,000. To put it mildly, it's not something that happens by chance, it happens by design. The trajectory is a classic gravity assist flyby route, the exact kind NASA uses to send its own probes like Voyager and Pioneer on missions to the outer solar system. This led Loeb to his mothership hypothesis. What if 3I Atlas is a large carrier vessel, using the gravitational pull of planets like Jupiter to adjust its course and slow down? And what if, during these close flybys, it's deploying smaller, harder-to-detect probes to study each planet up close? It wasn't just flying through, it was executing a mission. The most shocking fact is that the object's closest approach to the Sun, a moment known as perihelion, is scheduled for October 29, 2025. During that time, the Earth will be on the complete opposite side of the Sun, making it impossible for our telescopes to observe what happens. Loeb called this the perfect time for a sneaky maneuver. With our eyes blinded by the sun's glare, the object could release its probes, change its course, or even communicate with something else without us ever knowing. Many people are crazy about these kinds of conspiracies, but Loeb grounded his claims in hard data. It all painted a picture of intelligent design. The scientific community, however, remained deeply skeptical, arguing that Loeb was mistaking a series of incredible coincidences for intent. But as Loeb pointed out, how many coincidences do you need before you have to admit it's a pattern? The object's behavior was already far beyond anything seen before. It had headlights, it was maneuvering, and its path was a perfectly calculated tour of our solar system. The evidence was piling up that this was no ordinary comet. The only question left was whether humanity was ready to accept what was happening right in its own cosmic backyard. As the world debated Loeb's claims, something else happened that proved he was right to be suspicious. The Great Cosmic Cover-Up. Just as the debate over 3I Atlas reached a fever pitch, something strange started to happen. The data went dark. Major space agencies, including NASA and the European Space Agency, suddenly became incredibly quiet. Public updates on the object's trajectory and composition, which had been coming out weekly, slowed to a trickle and then stopped altogether. Independent researchers who tried to book time on major telescopes to observe 3I Atlas found their requests mysteriously denied or indefinitely delayed, suddenly requiring security clearances that most astronomers didn't have. You see, for Avi Loeb, this was a familiar pattern. He had seen the same institutional resistance when he first made his claims about Oumuamua. The scientific establishment, he argued, suffers from a deep-seated fear of the unknown. It is more comfortable dismissing anomalies as dust bunnies on the camera lens than confronting evidence that could upend centuries of scientific belief. What many overlooked is that this wasn't just academic cowardice. It was starting to look like an organized cover-up. Leaks from inside these agencies suggested that governments had stepped in. The object was no longer a scientific curiosity. It had been deemed a matter of national security. This is where Loeb's Galileo project became more important than ever. He and his team intensified their own observations, using their network of privately funded observatories to track 3I Atlas. They were determined to keep the data flowing, to ensure that the public wasn't kept in the dark about what was happening in their own solar system. Loeb warned that if 3I Atlas was indeed an alien mothership, then humanity had a right to know. This wasn't a secret that any single government had the right to keep. The thing nobody tells you is that the official silence only made the object seem more mysterious and more threatening. Why hide the data if it was just a comet? Why restrict telescope access if there was nothing to see? The cover-up fueled conspiracy theories, with many believing that the governments already knew what 3I Atlas was and were simply trying to prevent global panic. The lack of a cometary tail, the impossible headlights, and the deliberate-looking trajectory, all of these anomalies were now being shielded from public view, leaving people to wonder what else was being hidden. Loeb and his team continued their work, convinced they were on the verge of the greatest discovery in human history. They believed that the silence from the establishment was proof that they were onto something huge. They were no longer just looking for an alien probe. They were fighting against a conspiracy of silence, a cosmic cover-up designed to keep humanity from learning the truth. But what is the truth? And are we, the public, ready to handle it? For the people watching this, it's easy to feel like you're caught in the middle of a science fiction movie. You have a maverick Harvard scientist on one side, warning of an alien mothership with headlights and smaller probes. On the other side, you have the world's governments and space agencies, suddenly going silent and hiding their data. It's a story that feels too big, too strange to be real. So, what is the truth? Is 3I Atlas just a very weird comet, a 1 in a trillion natural fluke that happens to break all the rules of physics we know? Or is Avi Loeb right? An object larger than the one that wiped out the dinosaurs is moving through our solar system at impossible speeds. Its path is a perfect tour of our planets, and it will be hidden from our view at the most critical moment. Is 3I Atlas the greatest discovery in human history, or the most terrifying threat we have ever faced? Let us know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe for more updates.